Welcome to this Acumatica tutorial. My name is Zach Mayer with the Mayer Group, and today we're going to be taking a look at basic navigation in Acumatica. I am currently logged into a sales demo environment, and we can see a dashboard on our current view right here. Now, dashboards are a great place to set a home page for various users in Acumatica. You can see some high-level information for various job roles, in this case a customer view dashboard, giving me some information at a quick glance for sales opportunities and orders, AR, support, contacts, some charts and graphs as well, and we can create custom dashboards for various different spaces in Acumatica: finance, CRM, inventory, field service, manufacturing, maybe the shipping warehouse. So all different areas can have their own dashboards to give a great kind of high-level look at important data to their job function. How we go about setting our homepage as one of these various dashboards would be on our My Profile screen. Anytime I click in the very top right corner of Acumatica where I see my username, in this case admin, I can see the My Profile option. When I view my profile screen, I will see down here the ability to set my home page, which currently is that customer view dashboard. Here we can also see our first name and last name for the user account, our password recovery if we need to change our password, the time zone that we're currently seeing Acumatica in, and our default branch if you're using a multi-branch site. We also have the ability to set some email settings if we're going to connect to any external identities, all from our user profile. Once we're in the system, we're going to see our various workspaces or the menus of screens going down the left-hand side of the screen here. Now we can see the screens the workspaces that I have been frequently using with some additional hidden underneath the More Items option. Here are the remainder of the workspaces that I have access to. In this case, every workspace is available to my admin account, but you will only see the workspaces that your individual user profile has security permission or security access to see. Anytime we open up one of our workspaces, we're going to see some categories that those screens are going to be broken down into. I'm currently looking at a quick menu or a kind of simplified version of the receivables workspace. If I wanted to see every screen available in the workspace that my account has access to, I can click on this Show All button at the bottom of the menu, or I could click on the word Receivables to toggle back and forth between that quick menu and the full menu. How I go about customizing what is going to appear in that simplified quick menu is clicking on this gear icon in the right-hand corner of the menu and checking off the box next to which screens I would like to show up in that simplified view. Now, the categories of screens that we're going to see are pretty constant throughout the various workspaces of Acumatica. Our first category we see in the top left are our transactions. When it comes to the receivables workspace, we're going to see our invoices and memos, payments, cash sales, sales price worksheets, all located underneath the transaction category. The bottom left is going to give us profiles, and our profile screens are essentially our master data, our customer accounts, our vendor accounts, our stock and non-stock items. In this case, we also have customer locations, payment methods, sales prices, discounts, salespersons, all located underneath profiles. Now, some of your profile screens could be visible in more than one workspace. So I would typically care about looking up my customers when I'm working with receivables, but I also might want to look up customers when I'm working with sales orders. And we can see that same customer profile screen is available in both modules. Our next category is processes. Processes are the screens that we would utilize to take bulk action against something in the system rather than one transaction at a time. So in the example of if we stick on the path of sales orders, we have a process order process screen. And this screen, for example, would allow us to take bulk actions against our sales orders in the system. So we can see we could create a shipment, we could prepare an invoice, we could open or cancel orders as an example of those bulk actions. But underneath the umbrella of reporting, we have inquiries, printed forms, and reports. And the reason that we have these different categories will fundamentally come down to how we're going to utilize that report. An inquiry is going to be live data that we're viewing within Acumatica. We can filter it, we can kind of manipulate how the data looks on this screen, where we can then go ahead and sometimes download to Excel, for example. So here is one inquiry screen, the customer details, where I can look up a particular customer account and I can see all of the documents that are associated with that customer account. I have some high-level information, and then I can drill into those particular invoices and payments through this inquiry screen. All of my columns on an inquiry, I can drag and drop them into any order I want. I can filter any column I see on the screen, and I can also use my column configurator to hide columns I don't want to see or make additional columns visible. That does differ a bit from our reports, which are going to have criteria or parameters that we populate. We feed the system some information for that particular report we're going to run, and then it generates a PDF for us. Now that PDF could be printed, it could be downloaded and saved to our computer, but it's not necessarily a live data screen that we can drag and drop and we can move those fields around. So in this case, I provide it with some criteria here. I run my report, and the report presents data with that particular set of parameters in mind. It cannot be changed until we run the report again. We then have our printed forms in the middle. Printed forms will primarily be any type of external document that we might be sending or printing out of the system. So think a order acknowledgement, a packing slip, a pick ticket, a invoice, a purchase order, a production ticket, anything that we may be physically printing or maybe emailing off to a customer or a vendor will primarily fall under our printed forms. Our final section is then going to be preferences. Now, typically this would be restricted so that only admins or managers would see this category, but this is going to be the configuration and more of the behind the scenes side of each workspace. So for sales orders, we could configure our order types, our ship via codes, FOB points, boxes, and various configuration data that we can then reference on our actual orders. Now, when we're working in one of these workspaces, we may be primarily working out of sales orders, but maybe we also work in purchases. And I want to see some screens from both of those menus in one combined view. And I can do that with our favorites feature. So here I can see sales orders has a yellow star next to it, which indicates to me that it has already been favorited. Now maybe I want to also favorite invoices, and I do that by hovering over that screen name, and I can see that star appears next to it. As soon as I fill in that star, it is now favorited. And if I want to go to purchases and favorite some screens over there, maybe I want to favorite my purchase orders, and I also want to favorite my vendor details inquiry. Now I can go to the favorites workspace at the very top of the screen, right underneath my company logo, or in this case, the Acumatica logo, and I can see all of those screens that I've favorited grouped by their various workspaces. So in the payables workspace, we have vendor details, sales orders, we have our sales orders and invoices, purchase orders found under purchases, etc. So a really good way to have one combined grid to show all of the various screens that we utilize most frequently. The final kind of component of high-level navigation is going to be how we begin various processes in the system. So creating a new sales order, for example, there's a couple different ways that we could go about beginning that process, and it's all going to be personal preference. There's no right or wrong way to begin that process, but there are multiple ways that we could go about entering a new order. The first option would be one of our tiles as an example. So we can create tiles that take us directly into a transaction screen, in this case, directly into begin entering a brand new sales order. We have tiles for quotes, payments, and customers here as well. The second way that we could begin a new sales order, or the same process for customers or purchase orders or vendors or items, would be to hover over the screen name sales orders, and we see a plus new button appear. And that's a shortcut to also take us directly into entering a new sales order. And then that third and final way to enter a new order Continuing with that example would be to click on the sales order screen. It takes us into our inquiry view to see all of our existing orders, and we also have a Add New Record button at the top of this screen as well. So there are various ways to accomplish the same goal, and as you get more familiar with the Acumatica interface, you'll figure out which method you personally like using the most. And then of course, regardless of where we are in the software, we can always click on the logo in the top left corner to always come back to our home screen. If you have any questions about basic navigation or utilizing Acumatica, do not hesitate to reach out to the Mayor Group and we would be happy to help you with those questions. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the Mayor Group YouTube channel for future Acumatica tutorials that we'll be posting soon. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next tutorial.